Part 72. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 711. Half an hour later, the car arrived at the nearest Civil Affairs Bureau. However, the two of them still knew their scruples. They put on masks, hats, and sunglasses in the car, then opened the door and got out of the car. As the new year is approaching, many people come to collect marriage certificates before the Civil Affairs Bureau goes on holiday, but the divorce registration office is much deserted. After all, it's the Chinese New Year, and various divisions after divorce are troublesome. Most people who plan to divorce will wait until after the Chinese New Year to deal with it, unless they really can't live with each other for a moment and don't want to tolerate the other person. Just like the pair in front of them. The staff in charge of divorce procedures were also used to seeing couples choose to divorce for various reasons. They had long developed a strong heart and handed over two fresh divorce certificates without changing their expressions, and pressed the button at the same time. Click the button to call the next pair. Then she watched helplessly as a man and woman, who could be seen to be very young even though they were fully armed, walked hand in hand to the counter on her side. Ahem, did you two get the wrong number? I'm in charge of divorce. He pointed to the big words divorce registration office behind him, then pointed to the other side, and kindly reminded, Mary, the registration office is next door. Shen Yunqing handed over the prepared marriage certificate and the agreement he signed with the original person. It's correct to apply for divorce. When the staff member took the marriage certificate, he couldn't help but glance at the two people in front of him who were quite close to each other although they were no longer holding hands. He mechanically opened the two marriage certificates in his hands and waited until he saw clearly what was printed on them. The photo and the names of both men and women were shown. His hand shook suddenly and he almost dropped it. How can she not be frightened? She just saw these two people on TV last night. In the blink of an eye, I saw a real person, while I was working. Ginger, Ginger. Zhang Lingzi took off her sunglasses and said, It's me. You, and this Mr. Shen. This was the first time the staff member found out that his tongue was so disobedient. Are you two married? No, I want to ask, but no, can I know that you two are married? Why did you decide to divorce? Shen Yunqing answered him, we agreed to get married before, but now we want to terminate the agreement. Zhang Lingzi waited for him to finish and nodded on behalf of the original owner. The staff quickly flipped through the agreement that was handed over with the marriage certificate, and found that it did contain this clause, but, I just saw you two coming over hand in hand, and I thought you were here to get married. Since we are in a good relationship, why, do you still want to choose divorce? It's convenient to go next door to get the marriage certificate later. Staff member. Did she just hear some earth-shattering answer? Not sure, want to listen again. Shen Yunqing saved the staff who were already on the verge of confusion in time. We want to terminate the previous marriage agreement and redefine the marriage relationship. This is the first time she has seen this somewhat inexplicable operation since she started working. Not to mention that this pair is still a public figure. Do you have to do this? Zhang Lingzi and Shen Yunqing nodded towards her. I hope you can be accommodating. Until the two divorce certificates were handed over, the staff was still confused. Then he watched helplessly as the two people in front of him took the fresh divorce certificates, turned around and walked to the next door, talking as they walked. You just got the number next door, right? You can use your mobile phone to check how many couples are ahead of us. Let me see, there are 3 more pairs, we have to wait. Go sit in the corner over there and wait. Watching the two figures walk to the waiting area of the marriage registration office next door and sit down, the staff member pinched his arm hard. Very good, it's not a dream. She really just met such a strange couple. Asterisk. Give me some information written on the window. Compared to the staff at the divorce registration office, The staff at the marriage registration office are obviously much busier, and they don't even have time to raise their heads when talking. Zhang Lingzi and Shen Yunqing handed over the required information together. The staff took it and looked at the divorce certificate on top. It was really new. Does this mean you can't wait to get married just after getting divorced? With this thought flashing through her mind, she opened the divorce certificate. After glancing at the photos and names above, she was stunned for a moment, and quickly glanced again. The smile that had been hanging on her face froze silently at the corners of her mouth, and she slowly raised her head to look at the two people standing in front of the counter. The scene at the divorce registration office was almost repeated. The only difference was that there was an additional step of taking wedding photos. The staff suppressed their desire to complain, stamped steel seals on the two freshly made marriage certificates, handed them over, and said their customary blessing, "I wish you two a happy marriage." "Thanks. Will do." Staff member. She and her neighbor earned 4 certificate fees in one fell swoop. It's really outrageous. Open the door for outrageousness. It's so outrageous. Out of the gate of the Civil Affairs Bureau, Zhang Lingzi took the 2 marriage certificates in her hands, turned on her mobile phone camera and took a photo. There were several people around who did the same thing as her. After all, getting a marriage certificate is considered a big happy event. It is normal to take photos and post them on WeChat Moments or share them online. Back in the car, Zhang Lingzi directly posted the photo she just took to her account, without caring about the follow-up. She raised her eyes and looked at Shen Yunqing, who was buckling her seat belt. "Are you happy now?" "Happy?" Okay, she is quite happy herself. It feels a little different to experience firsthand the experience of going to the Civil Affairs Bureau to apply for marriage registration. Although I had gone through divorce procedures once before, the flaws did not hide the good points. The two of them drove home and paid no attention to the sudden earthquake that broke out online. Zhang Lingzi's response is here. "I just went and clicked it, almost thinking I was dazzled. I was accused of having an improper relationship, so I went directly to the wedding photos. Now it is really legitimate and cannot be made more legitimate. Sister 11 is really upright. The date on the wedding photo is today, so you saw that slanderous essay and went to get the certificate directly. Do you want this speed? I thought I would see a clarification of the saying that they are just friends. Is this proof? This is different from how I expected it to be handled, and the deviation is too big. Looking at the photo, it still feels a bit unreal, so please bear with me." So when Zixi said she had a crush on the live broadcast, she was referring to Mr. Shen? So the roadside photo that was accidentally taken was also with Mr. Shen? So it was not a coincidence that Mr. Shen appeared on The Inheritance of Calligraphy and Painting. Was it because we, Zixi, also participated in this program? Don't think so. This woman has had a hard time hiding it from us. But what should I do if I still have a good time? Oh, I'm so angry. The actress I just fell in love with is already married, and the actor I just fell in love with is actually married too. The key is that they are still a couple. Also, let me correct you, the latter's profession is not that of an actor, and his role as Prime Minister Shen is purely a cameo. I just searched for the short article that slandered the relationship between 1111 and Mr. Shen and had a ridiculously high number of likes. I found that I couldn't find it anymore. The response was really fast. After all, those speculations in it are completely untenable in the face of a legally valid marriage certificate. If you don't delete it, you will be ridiculed by the netizens who reacted. Sister 11 can also sue him for defaming a public figure. Tongyu looked at the 2 brand new marriage certificates on the screen of her mobile phone, and listened to the comments from netizens that were passing by in her ears, and her heart dropped. At the same time, I silently sympathized with the staff of the Civil Affairs Bureau, who must have been greatly irritated by the torment. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, X Press 11. Chapter 712. Lin Yan Studio. Lin Yan came out of the absolutely quiet studio. The two assistants waiting outside heard the noise and quickly put down their mobile phones to greet him. "Brother Yan is out, what do you want for dinner?" Lin Yan turned his head and glanced at the vast expanse of sunset outside the window, then realized that he had been in the studio for most of the day and it was already evening. Thinking of the girl who took off her military uniform and put on a red dress in the TV series he followed last night, he blurted out, "Eat fish, just steam it." The assistant was stunned for a moment, then nodded quickly after regaining consciousness, picked up the phone and started looking for a restaurant to order takeout. Another assistant brought a cup of hot coffee over. "Brother Yan, I just ground coffee." Lin Yan took it and sat on the sofa and took a sip. Then he noticed a simple and low-key big red gift box on the coffee table in front of him. "I almost forgot," noticing his gaze, the assistant hurriedly explained, "This is the New Year's gift box sent by teacher Zhang Lingzi's team. It arrived in the afternoon, so I conveniently put it here." Before he could finish speaking, Lin Yan had already put down the coffee cup in his hand, picked up the gift box and was about to open it. "Brother Yan, I'm coming." "No, I'll dismantle it myself." The assistant had no choice but to offer him the paper knife in his hand, and at the same time stayed to watch curiously. "Brother Yan, I haven't seen anyone online who has received the New Year's gift box from Zhang Lingzi's team and revealed what's in it, but it felt quite light when I held it before, so there shouldn't be much stuff. But it's normal. So far, Zhang Lingzi has also just 2 endorsements, clothing and cars cannot be used as gifts." The assistant who had just finished ordering takeout heard the sound and came over. "So what? I think today's hot search list is almost becoming her domain. Good guy, one after another is endless. Her drama is now in full swing. My mother and my sister are chasing her every day. In addition, something happened again at noon, and in the afternoon the main character caused a big earthquake. Now she deserves to dominate list." Lin Yan had just picked up the VR glasses packaging box in the gift box. Before he could open it, he listened to the conversation between the two assistants above him and asked unexpectedly, "What happened online today?" At the beginning, there was a big V account who wrote a short essay and took a group of people who were obvious to be professional sunspots and went to blackmail Zhang Lingzi. While listening, Lin Yan took out his mobile phone that was turned off during the creation in the studio. After turning it on, he directly clicked on the hot search list. At a glance, I saw that the top of the list was almost occupied by the 3 words Zhang Lingzi. Zhang Lingzi hashtag. Zhang Lingzi shows marriage certificate hashtag. Hashtag Empress Yuan Zhao and his Prime Minister Shen have already received the certificate in reality hashtag. Hashtag It turns out that the mysterious young couple I met by chance at the Civil Affairs Bureau were Zhang Lingzi and Mr. Shen hashtag. I opened one of them, and the top one was posted by Zhang Lingzi not long ago. Zhang Lingzi v. I am married. 4 words, concise and concise, explain everything. The accompanying picture is of 2 brand new marriage certificates held together by 2 hands. Anyone who sees the man and woman leaning together in the photo has to say that they are a perfect match. Lin Yan pursed her lips silently and continued to read the netizens' views and comments on this matter. Except for a few shouts about making her sister beautiful, they were basically happy to see the success and expressed their blessings and support. Although the small essay that the assistant just mentioned that discredited the relationship between Zhang Lingzi and Shen Yunqing was deleted by the original author, some netizens had the foresight to screenshot it early and put it up again. Lin Yan found it and clicked it after reading it. My blood pressure has risen a lot. Turning around and looking at Zhang Lingzi's response of directly showing her marriage certificate, even he had to praise her. This approach was indeed decisive and strong enough, and the effect was very good. The person behind the smear campaign is probably going to vomit blood. These are Kingian Technology's smart VR glasses, but they seem to be a little different from those currently on the market. The voice of the assistant on the side brought Lin Yan back from his thoughts. He barely ignored the slight sourness in his heart. He picked up the packaging box in the gift box and looked at it carefully. This is the second generation of VR glasses. Second generation? It seems that the second generation has not been officially launched yet. The official website shows that you need to make an appointment in advance. You can't buy it now. How can Zhang Lingzi's team have it in stock? Lin Yan carefully opened the packaging box. After getting the VR glasses, he saw a golden red dragon pattern printed on the body. The dragon pattern extends from the corner of the glasses to one of the temples, adding a bit of domineering and ancient charm to the originally technological instrument. It doesn't overwhelm the guest and take over the host, and the combination is quite beautiful. Here, this is different from the picture of the second generation VR glasses released on the official website. There is no such dragon pattern on the official website. Lin Yan turned his head and glanced at the official website picture displayed on his assistant's phone. It should be specially customized. It's possible, Zhang Lingzi's team has a wide range of connections, even Kingian technology. Wait a minute, it's not because of the wide network Kingian technology and Mia Jewelry just took the opportunity to announce their brand spokesperson, who is Zhang Lingzi. Asterisk. As Lin Yan guessed, Zhou Lingyu was indeed about to vomit blood. It is not free to find a well-known V and take risks to write a short essay to discredit Zhang Lingzi. The higher the popularity of the other party's account, the more expensive the fee will naturally be. Contacting professional black men will require a large employment fee and hush-hush fee. Furthermore, because the idea of taking the opportunity to discredit Zhang Lingzi on the internet was her own idea, and she insisted on doing it regardless of her agent's objections, she naturally had to pay for it herself. Even with her current income, it would be a bit heartbreaking. Zhang Lingzi actually got married right away. Got married. How dare she do that? Isn't she afraid that her career will be affected? No, the marriage certificate in this photo must be fake. She found someone to forge it. How come no one saw it? The agent heard her mumbling to herself as soon as he pushed the door open. After hearing what she was talking about clearly, he couldn't help but poured cold water on her. Aren't you kidding yourself? She is a public figure, and she will take a fake book marriage certificate to fool netizens. And some netizens said they saw them at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Do not talk. The agent took a deep breath and said, I found some connections to find out what the producers of Queen Xiao are saying, and they have indeed contacted Zhang Lingzi's agent. What, already contacted? It should not be false. Zhou Lingyu fell down on the sofa. Then there is no hope for me. It would be fine if the smear campaign was successful, but now, Zhang Lingzi's popularity on the internet is still partly due to her contribution. However, Zhang Lingzi hasn't given an accurate reply to the producers of Queen Xiao yet. The agent said with a slightly unbelievable tone, is it possible that they still need to consider whether to accept the film or not? I don't believe she can resist taking such a good opportunity, Zhou Lingyu sneered, unless Zhang Lingzi is pregnant. It's not that she doesn't want to take on such a leading female role, it's that she can't take it. The more I think about it, the more likely it is that I feel like this is a possibility. If you get the certificate directly, maybe you have to get married quickly because you find out you have a child. We have to quickly reveal this news to the producers of Queen Xiao. The agent reminded helplessly, you are all guessing. Our circle is full of rumors. Regardless of whether it is true or not, it is enough to make Zhang Lingzi lose the opportunity to participate in Queen Xiao. As I said before, without Zhang Lingzi, she is the best candidate. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 713. No coincidence. Tong Yu was also talking about Zhou Lingyu to Zhang Lingzi. It was Zhou Lingyu who instigated that Big V to write a small article to smear you and Mr. Shen. She put in so much effort but failed to achieve her goal. Instead, she allowed you to dominate the hot search rankings. I always feel that she may do it again. The last move. Zhang Lingzi nodded in agreement with this speculation, but you don't need to take this matter too seriously. I think this is all she can do. Tong Yu sighed, I don't have a heart as strong as yours. She did this just to get the role of Xiao Chan. You haven't said no to Queen Xiao yet. No, Tong Yu said with a headache again. In the past few days, Empress Yuan Zhao has been broadcasting 2 episodes every night on the national channel, and the ratings have been rising. Empress Xiao is even more reluctant to let go. No, even the script was sent over. Just after you sent out the photos of your marriage certificate, it seems that the film crew doesn't care whether you are married or not. Send me the script. Tong Yu's eyes suddenly lit up. Have you changed your mind and are going to take it? Let's read the script first and then talk. I will send you the electronic version right now. Please take your time and read it carefully. Zhang Lingzi looked at her excitement and hesitated but said nothing. She really just wanted to read the script. It is impossible to accept it. Once you make a decision, you have no intention of changing it. Tong Yu sent the script. It's getting late, so I'll take Zheng Zheng, Yao Yao, and the others back. Remember to call me after reading the script. Then I won't keep you, so be careful on the way back. After sending Tong Yu and the others away, Zhang Lingzi was about to sit back on the recliner to read the script and wait for dinner. But as soon as she sat down, she saw Xiaoji, who had changed into a dark red tang suit with joy on her face, came in from outside. Your Majesty, sir, please go dinner in the main courtyard next door. Zhang Lingzi raised her eyebrows when she saw his attire and expression. Without asking why he suddenly changed to eating in the yard next door, she put down her phone and stood up. Wait for me to go back to the house and change clothes. Zhang Lingzi has never been in the habit of tidying up the wardrobe by herself. The cloakroom in the previous flat-floor apartment was tidied by Lu Zhengzheng for her, and the one in Ziwan was tidied by Shen Yunqing. I opened the closet and looked inside. Sure enough, the layout of the clothes was a little different from when I changed clothes in the morning. She took off the outermost set of clothes, which were black with vermilion edges and were probably hung up not long ago, and changed them. When she came out of the courtyard gate here, her eyes dimmed. The red lanterns that have been hung up in Ziwan were originally intended to be used on New Year's Eve, and they would be lit up throughout the entire New Year's Eve. This time it was lit in advance, but all other lights were extinguished. From her side, the red lantern looked like a long red dragon, extending to the entrance of the main courtyard next door. There should be someone waiting for her there. Perhaps in Tong Yu's view, posting their marriage certificate was just to counter the smear campaign against her in the online essay. But in the eyes of her and Shen Yunqing, the somewhat tortuous process of obtaining the certificate was more meaningful. Even though this incident was originally just a whim for them, after experiencing it personally, some feelings did remain in their hearts. So when she saw Xiaoji suddenly changed into more festive clothes and came over to invite her to have dinner in the main courtyard next door, which had a somewhat different meaning, she understood it in an instant. Follow the long line of red lanterns and walk forward unobstructed. Several meters away from the end of the long lantern line, Zhang Lingzi saw Shen Yunqing, also dressed in red, standing under the big red lantern at the entrance of the main courtyard. Your Majesty. Zhang Lingzi walked up to Shen Yunqing, stretched out her hand and put it into the palm he handed over. The vermilion sleeve edges were immediately intertwined with the black cuffs. When she saw the bright lights in the main courtyard, she couldn't help but stop and admire it for a moment. I said you came back from the Civil Affairs Bureau and you turned around and disappeared. It turned out that you were here to tinker with these things. Does it look good? It looks good. Zhang Lingzi nodded without hesitation. Although the time was a bit rushed, she only had time to chat with Tong Yu about the follow-up work after she came back. But she has never had any doubts about her Prime Minister's aesthetic taste. But you are the best looking. She originally thought that Shen Yunqing would be stunning in the vermilion Prime Minister's court attire, but she didn't expect that tonight's bright red dress with black edges would be even more stunning. When did you prepare these clothes? I have it for a long time, but I have never had occasion to wear it before. When I came back to decorate this place, I thought it would be appropriate to wear it today. Then you don't let Xiaoji remind me. What if I didn't think of changing my clothes before coming here, or is it intentional, to test whether the two of us are connected? Your Majesty, why don't you eat first? The food is getting cold. Zhang Lingzi snorted softly and was led into the dining room by the hand. Red plates, red bowls, red wine glasses, even the chopsticks are bright red. You are really well prepared. It made her feel that the matter of testifying today was not a temporary act, but had been planned for a long time. The two of them sat opposite each other and slowly finished the food and wine on the table, then went to the yard to admire the decorations that they had not had time to appreciate before. When he returned to the bedroom, he opened the door and saw the same changed room. Zhang Lingzi, not surprised at all. After Xiaoji waited for the two of them to enter, he smiled, closed the door quietly, turned off the lights, and left, hiding his merit and fame. There was a sweet and warm fragrance burning in the room. Zhang Lingzi sat down on the bright red brocade quilt embroidered with crotch pattern. After taking a few breaths of the fragrance that filled her nose, she looked at the person wandering in front of her and suddenly felt that she had been there before. The feeling of drunkenness that I thought I had almost sobered up came back again. Yunqing, come here. Tong Yu didn't read a single word of the script for Queen Xiao that she sent to her before she left. With all the jokes and atmosphere, she couldn't think of a script written by someone she didn't like in the first place. Although wine is not intoxicating, there are people in front of her who can make her drunk. The mobile phone on the bedside table lights up and goes off, but no one pays attention to it anymore. Wei Minmin filmed for a whole day, and it was not until night that she finally escaped from the Devil's director's sanctions. She took her cell phone from her assistant, and as soon as she clicked on the hot search, she saw the entry that was still dominating the list. Sister 11 is arguing with Mr. Shen about evidence. Is it true or not? This is too sudden. After clicking in and looking around, she confirmed that the matter was true and understood the reasons behind the evidence. She silently scolded the big V who spat on the Anita Communist Party and quickly followed the money maker. It's just that after the money was transferred, it took a long time for the person on the other side to receive it. She sent another congratulatory message, but still no one answered. It's not even 9 o'clock yet. Are you taking a break so early? Going back to the previous hot searches, Wei Minmin quickly caught another piece of big news. Sister 11 is pregnant, is it true? She has only been in the group for a few days. Has the outside world changed so much? Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 714. Tong Yu decisively gave up after calling Zhang Lingzi twice, but no one answered. I turned over in bed and continued to read topics that suddenly appeared on the internet. Zhang Lingzi suddenly received her marriage certificate and was suspected of being pregnant. #. This topic suddenly popped up around 8 o'clock in the evening. In less than 2 hours, it has been read nearly 5 million times and discussed over 1,000 times. Although I am looking forward to what a cute little angel the two of us will have, objectively speaking, now is really not a good time to get pregnant. Tong Yu couldn't help but nodded when she saw this. Pregnancy is a hurdle for female celebrities. During this period, due to pregnancy reactions and a series of changes in body and face, work had to be suspended for at least a year. The mother's body also needs a certain recovery period after the child is born, and the newborn child cannot always be left to a nursery. From my mother's care and attention must not be left behind, so I will no longer be able to work wholeheartedly. If your position in the industry is already solid, even to the point of becoming a god, then it doesn't matter if you take a 2-year break. You won't have to worry about losing popularity and filming movies when you come back. But Zhang Lingzi is still far from reaching this status. To be precise, we are in the most critical period of career advancement. Once you get pregnant, the good situation that you have finally managed to put together is likely to come to an abrupt end. So even though she thought the possibility of Zhang Lingzi being pregnant was very small, she still couldn't help but want to ask and remind her after seeing this speculation on the internet. In recent years, it is best not to think about having children. At any rate, both of them are still young. She believed that Mr. Shen would also understand. It's groundless. I saw Zhang Lingzi get a marriage certificate directly in order to counter the slander on the internet. This one-step approach is indeed quite refreshing. But then I thought about it, there were actually no other ways to fight back at that time, so why did I choose this method? Is it possible that because of the pregnancy, I took advantage of the situation and got the certificate, killing 2 birds with 1 stone? I have seen Zhang Lingzi dance with a sword in a promotional program for a new drama, and in a video of a car commercial, and her agility did not look like she was pregnant. Perhaps it was just checked out in the past 2 days. This topic has been appearing for 2 hours. Even tonight's episode of Empress Yuan Zhao has finished broadcasting, and the main protagonist has not appeared to refute the rumors. Maybe it is acquiescence. Haha, Zhang Lingzi has a well-known schedule and is rarely online. Maybe she has already fallen asleep after watching the drama. Today is still the day to receive the certificate. Although there is no wedding, it is still very meaningful. I should be living in the world of 2 people with Mr. Shen. I may not even have time to catch up on tonight's 2 episodes of Empress Yuan Zhao, so how can I do it? I have time to join in the discussion online. I'd better wait for the correct owner's response tomorrow. It seems that I won't be able to wait for it today. By the way, does anyone know who Mr. Shen is? I always feel that his identity should be more than the simple one introduced in The Inheritance of Calligraphy and Painting. This kind of temperament is not something that ordinary families can cultivate. I admit, I have doubted whether he is the heir to one of the top families mentioned in wealthy novels, and he is not an ordinary wealthy family, at least the kind that has been passed down silently for hundreds of years. Well, wouldn't it be a bit fanciful to think this way? Is there really such a family in reality? Just because I haven't seen it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Who has such a long history, and there are so many things that I have never seen or heard of. With this status, would you go into the entertainment industry to film TV series? Perhaps, for love? Then if Zhang Lingzi is really pregnant, even if the pregnancy is still young and the harm to the body is not great, it is impossible to abandon the child for the sake of career. A family like that should value their offspring very much. Then I still hope that the pregnancy is fake. Just one film of Empress Yuan Zhao is not enough to watch. You should have children later and make more good works. Tong Yu speculated that the person who exposed Zhang Lingzi's suspected pregnancy was probably Zhou Lingyu. It seems that this person is still determined to give up. But this time she was not as anxious and angry as when she saw the slanderous essay during the day. After all, the discussions among netizens this time were quite pertinent, and there were no black men who were just being black for the sake of being black. Some of the words even coincided with what she, the agent, thought. But it is disgusting enough for Zhou Lingyu to target his own artists one after another for the role of Xiao Chan. Even if Zhang Lingzi doesn't plan to accept the script after reading it, she doesn't want to take advantage of Zhou Lingyu. Asterisk. 3 poles above the sun. Zhang Lingzi reached out a hand from the quilt and touched the mobile phone that she had neglected all night and nearly all morning. As soon as I opened it and glanced at the time, the screen was filled with dense information. Sex makes you stupid. Woke up early and got up quietly. Shen Yunqing, who was quietly tidying up the room, turned around when he heard the sound. Zhang Lingzi had just clicked on the message sent to her by Wei Minmin, when she noticed someone looking over her and raised her eyes to meet her accurately. Use your eyes to indicate, yes, I'm talking about you. Min Min transferred me a small amount of money last night. She probably saw the marriage certificate I posted online. Forget it, let's collect it first. It will be collected sooner or later anyway. Well, I'm pregnant. After receiving the money and turning to the message sent later, Zhang Lingzi subconsciously lowered her head and glanced at her belly. I don't even know it myself. Where did this come from? But in this way, you can also guess why Sister Tong made 2 consecutive phone calls at night after returning. It is probably for this reason. What? Zhang Lingzi had just finished editing the text. When she heard the sound and raised her head, she saw that the person who was cleaning up at the window had already arrived. Those who didn't know it thought they had teleported over. Yesterday I didn't post our marriage certificate, but it was said that I was pregnant. It was probably Zhou Lingyu's trick. Let me clarify. Shen Yunqing took a breath silently, calmed down the heart that was beating so fast after hearing the word pregnancy, and tried to speak calmly. Are you hungry? I'll first. Zhang Lingzi waved her hand. We can have lunch in a while, so don't be busy now. Shen Yunqing, okay. It is indeed a bit late to have breakfast at this hour. Zhang Lingzi clicked on the post she had just edited, got out of bed, and washed up. Netizens who had been waiting all night and almost all morning finally waited for the notification on their mobile phones. The Zhang Lingzi VU follow has just posted an update, go check it out. Tong Yu estimated the time and was about to call Zhang Lingzi again. She was silent when she received the prompt, and then clicked on it. Zhang Lingzi V, don't make blind guesses. Attached is an emoticon that means speechless. That's all the response to the pregnancy speculation. Tong Yu and a group of netizens who came in quickly. I waited all night and all morning, until I got 3 words, a punctuation mark, and an emoticon. Still concise and concise as always, ha ha ha. At this point, I have ordered lunch takeaways and are waiting to be delivered. Someone must have just gotten up, right? I must have been busy counting the coins till midnight last night, ha ha ha. I feel relieved that I am not pregnant. My sister will continue to fly, and the powder will always be with her. In addition to the fans waiting for Zhang Lingzi's response, Zhou Lingyu is also waiting secretly. She read the 3 words and the emoticon back and forth 3 times, and couldn't help but snorted. These fans of Zhang Lingzi really have no brains at all. They believe whatever they say. If they have the ability, your idol will appear again. This is proof that you are not pregnant. End of chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 715. After lunch, Zhang Lingzi watched Shen Yunqing go back to the room and change clothes. Are you going out yet? There is an industry summit. Zhang Lingzi immediately waved her hand. Then you go. Shen Yunqing silently swallowed back her invitation to His Majesty to go out with him. I'll be back before dinner. There will be a dinner after this kind of summit, but it doesn't matter if you don't attend and leave early. Going back to Z1 to read books and play chess with His Majesty is more interesting than this dinner. Zhang Lingzi waited for Shen Yunqing to go out and squinted for a while before opening the script of Queen Xiao. A total of 300,000 words. But she only read the first tens of thousands of words and couldn't read any more. Her understanding of Xiao Chan is that she is ruthless in pursuit of profit and will do whatever it takes to achieve her goals. However, this person's political ability is also outstanding, otherwise he would not have been able to hold the title of emperor for so many years. In this script, the heroine has been beautified a bit, but Xiao Chan's own abilities have been weakened a lot. Not only did some of Xiao Chan's ruthless tactics be cut out, but a lot of plots that didn't exist were also fabricated out of thin air. Had it not been for the fact that Xiao Chan, Queen of Xiao, was clearly written in the script, when she read the script, she didn't think that the heroine in it was Xiao Chan at all. It was more like she had made it up out of thin air. Zhang Lingzi simply forked the script. There is no need to force yourself to read if you don't like it. Sister Tong. I was just about to call you. How do you like the script? I haven't finished reading it, and I don't want to read it. Tong Yu, do your fans know that your idol is so willful? Then you are not going to accept it at all. Okay, then I won't answer it. Zhang Lingzi was a little surprised that Tong Yu was so happy to let her give up this time. When she heard the next sentence, I just happened to receive another invitation from here, and this time it's a movie. You know the preface and director, right? Have no idea. Well, it's not important. You just need to know that I never thought you could participate in the movie this director is planning to shoot. But even though it is director Feng's movie, you are not the protagonist this time. At best, it's okay. One of the protagonists. Zhang Lingzi hummed and asked directly, what is the subject? After Tong Yu was silent for 2 seconds, racing. Director Feng also said it bluntly when he contacted me. He only temporarily thought of adding a female racing driver to the creative team after watching the video of the car commercial you shot. It's the icing on the cake. But this racing car is different from an ordinary car. If your performance doesn't satisfy him, then it's not the icing on the cake. By the way, are you sure you're not pregnant? If you were, you wouldn't be able to make this kind of movie. Opportunities are rare, but life is more important. I'm sure not. You have been affected by the comments on the internet. Zhang Lingzi smiled bitterly and paused to reassure her. You don't have to worry about this. I won't get pregnant. What's the meaning? That's what it means literally. This time Tong Yu was silent for a longer time. Does Mr. Shen know about your situation? No. It was Shen Yunqing who told her. That's fine, but it's not right. I mean, Mr. Shen doesn't mind, but it's still wrong. I think Xiao 11, you. Zhang Lingzi was now sure that Tong Yu was overthinking, but it was really hard to explain the situation between her and Shen Yunqing. Sister Tong, I don't care either. In addition, I am in good health now. It's not that there is something wrong with my body, there are other reasons why I can't get pregnant. Okay, I understand, so let's not talk about this. If you are interested in director Feng's movie, then I will reply to him and make an appointment to have a chat after the year. Queen Xiao, you don't want to, we won't pick it up, but I don't want to take advantage of Zhou Lingyu. She has been jumping up and down on the internet in the past 2 days, which is really annoying. Zhang Lingzi felt that Tong Yu's tone was a bit like coaxing her, so she nodded in cooperation. It is indeed easier for her to let Zhou Lingyu earn this money. Even though this man's calculations allowed her to accidentally see her Prime Minister Shen being secretly jealous, and she even got a chance to get a marriage certificate, it was still an uncomfortable thing to be plotted against. That's right, but I don't plan to retaliate with others. The Chinese New Year is coming soon, so I don't bother to dig up dirt on her. Then you have other plans. Well, I have someone in mind. It just so happens that we now have an invitation from Director Feng, and we have good reasons to reject Director Tang. In order to apologize for the delay for several days, it is reasonable for us to recommend someone to Director Tang. Who are you thinking of? You've seen the TV series that actress plays, and you've also talked to me and Zheng Zheng about her role. Dongwei. Yes, I liked her very much when I was young. What do you think? If you are a model who can take acting classes, you can be considered my teacher, so the designation is not bad. But hasn't she already withdrawn from the circle? This is the bad thing about not paying attention to entertainment news. Dongwei's husband had an accident not long ago and she owes billions in debt. I think there is a high possibility that she will come back to film and make money again. And I really want to watch her film again. TV series. Zhang Lingzi, then go and ask. Okay, you can have a good rest and prepare for the new year, and wait to see Zhou Lingyu fetching water from the bamboo basket in vain. If there is nothing else to do later, I won't disturb you. Zhang Lingzi looked at the hung-up phone and confirmed that Tong Yu was really coaxing her. What a novel experience. Asterisk. He Zhu walked up behind Shen Yunqing, bent down and reminded him in a low voice, "Boss, it's 5 o'clock." Shen Yunqing nodded to him and put down the teacup. The people at the same table were stunned when they saw this. One of them couldn't help but say, "Mr. Shen, are you leaving now? There will be a dinner later. Before I came, I told my wife that I would go back before dinner, so I'm sorry." Everyone looked at each other for a moment and saw him getting up. They quickly put down their cups and stood up to see him off. Watching Shen Yunqing and his assistant leave in a hurry, the others sat down again. Some people couldn't help but sigh, "This person is different after he gets married. This is because he is afraid that he will be punished by kneeling on the washboard if he returns home late." Then someone echoed, "I went to film movies just to chase my wife. I really didn't expect this person to be able to do this. By the way, have you all watched Empress Yuan Zhao?" A few people looked at each other and it was very good. They all looked at each other. Mainly just curious. At their current position, they have occasionally appeared in TV series or movies as a simple guest star as a boss on a whim. But asking them to spend a lot of time playing an important role in it is something they have never thought about. After all, although the actor's salary for filming is indeed a lot for ordinary people, for them they can earn it with just a wave of their hands. It can be seen that Mr. Shen really loves his wife anyway. "I never imagined that one day I would go to the set to film for a woman and have to kneel to her in the film." Others nodded, and they most likely couldn't do it either. In other words, "I have never met a woman who can do this for me. I used to see that Shen Yunqing was very indifferent to both men and women. I thought, I didn't expect that he was actually a romantic partner. It seems that if I see Miss Zhang in social gatherings in the future, I will have to change my name to Mrs. Shen." Shen Yunqing didn't know that after he left, he became the subject of discussion among several people at the table. However, when he first agreed to play the role of Prime Minister Shen, he had already thought that after the drama was broadcast, it would be seen by people he knew, including many of Shen's subordinates, and there would be no shortage of discussions online and even in private. But since His Majesty was there and invited him, he had no hesitation. "Hurry back to Z1, where the red lanterns have been lit up one after another." As soon as Zhang Lingzi set the dishes and chopsticks, she turned her head when she heard footsteps and saw people hurriedly returning home under the light of lanterns. "You're back, wash your hands and get ready to eat. Come back." End of chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 716. I have good news and bad news. Zhou Lingyu put down her phone and looked up. "What's the good news?" Zhang Lingzi rejected the drama queen Xiao. Zhou Lingyu's face suddenly burst into laughter. "I guessed it right, she must be pregnant, and I asked netizens not to make wild guesses. Who would believe it? It's just her group of fans who believe whatever they say. It's good to be pregnant, this child came at the right time." The agent saw that she was not going to hear the bad news at all, so he pursed his lips helplessly and said proactively, "The bad news is that Dongwei has contacted the Queen Xiao side." "Dongwei," Zhou Lingyu repeated the name with a confused look on her face. "Where is the pheasant from that is worthy of competing with me for a role?" The manager resisted the urge to roll his eyes and said, "Dongwei is your senior. She starred in Zaya Hualu, which was very popular in China back then. She just quit the industry and got married a few years ago." Only then did Zhou Lingyu's expression change. "Why are you coming back after you've already quit? Zaya Hualu was a drama many years ago. It was popular at that time not because the internet was not as developed as it is now. And now she's almost 40, and she still wants to fight with me? Wait, How did she get in touch with the crew of Queen Xiao after she has been out of the industry for so long? The crew of Queen Xiao did not make an open casting call, otherwise she would not have felt that she was a sure shot at the beginning. It was only when Zhang Lingzi appeared later that she panicked. But for Dong Gui, an old actor whose name has almost been forgotten and who has quit filming for such a long time, director Tang and the others will definitely not take the initiative to communicate. So where does this person come from to contact someone like Queen Xiao? Big production? The agent showed her a news on his phone. She is probably coming back to help her husband pay off his debts. Although she has been out of the industry for so long, her past achievements are still there. Her acting skills are recorded in the actor's textbook, and in this recent photo, she has been a pampered rich wife since she got married, and her face and figure haven't shrunk. Zhou Lingyu's face darkened every time the agent said something. But what made her break her guard the most was the last sentence of her agent. As for the connections, I checked out of curiosity. Zhang Lingzi's agent, Tong Yu, is a fan of Dong Wei. At Tong Yu's age, when she was young, she happened to be Dong Wei. It's the time of the fire. I originally wanted to say that even though Dong Wei has been out of the entertainment industry for several years, even if she doesn't mention her acting skills and age, her competitiveness cannot be underestimated based on her fans who are now middle-aged and even parents. But looking at Zhou Lingyu's face, which was now so dark that he could hardly look at it, the manager still swallowed these words silently. She really wanted to say something about herself. If I hadn't been jealous of Zhang Lingzi's popularity, I wouldn't have had to do anything, and Xiao Chan's role would have been guaranteed. Looking back now, we really lost both my wife and our troops. I think you should stop focusing on this type of role. It's time to change your style. If you don't feel bored, the audience will get tired of watching it. Zhou Lingyu glared with red eyes. Are you teaching me how to do something? The two broke up unhappy. Asterisk. There was only one day left before New Year's Eve when Zhang Lingzi received another message from Tong Yu. She was driving to pick up Zhang Wenhui and Zhang Runjinj to come to Ziwan to celebrate the new year. Help me see what Tong Yu just sent me. Shen Yunqing took out her phone from her pocket and unlocked it, clicked on it and read, Xiao 11, cough, Dong Wei successfully got the role of Xiao Chan. She also made an appointment with me to have dinner together after the new year. Do you want to come with us? Xiao Chan, is Xiao Chan. Well, this role came to me before, but I didn't like Xiao Chan or the script, so I rejected it. But I didn't want to take advantage of Zhou Lingyu, so Tong Yu recommended an actor she liked to the crew. Please give me a reply. Shen Yunqing raised his eyebrows and typed as instructed. After sending back the word yes, I thought you would refuse. Eating with strangers is the type of meal that His Majesty dislikes the most. I took an acting class and watched Dong Wei's drama before. Her acting skills are very good, much better than a wild kid like me. Now that I have decided to take the path of an actor in the future, I will naturally follow this path to become more powerful. People learn a lot. Shen Yunqing put the phone back into her pocket and nodded lightly. His Majesty has not changed at all in his unwillingness to be second to others. Asterisk. Zhang Wenhui and Zhang Runjinj packed their things early in the morning. When Zhang Lingzi and Shen Yunqing entered the door, they saw that the open space between the living room and the entrance was filled with various New Year's goods. Even the air is filled with the smell of various foods mixed together. Bypassing the New Year's goods, the two of them met Zhang Wenhui's happy but strange eyes. Zhang Lingzi, Mom, why do you look at me and Yunqing like this? When I see you two now, I think of the Empress and Prime Minister you played. Zhang Runjinj was speechless next to him. Don't mention it. Your mother is now crazy about the Empress Yuan Zhao you starred in. She doesn't say anything about grabbing the remote control from me at night. During the day, she also holds her mobile phone and watches edited short videos. And also said that some people are not good at editing, so they have to pay people to learn how to edit. Now that they have learned how to edit themselves, they are already old and they are not afraid that the other person is a liar. Why are you pinching me? I don't know who is more punctual than me in turning on the TV in the past 2 days. Besides, I'm just 50, and there are still a lot of people online who are old enough to take college entrance examinations. What's wrong with me learning to edit? I'm not afraid that you will be deceived. There are so many online scammers these days, and you can't do anything after being paid to teach. Zhang Lingzi and Shen Yunqing looked at each other silently, walked around the two people who liked to bicker when everything was fine, and walked to the sofa to sit down. After Zhang Wenhui defended her husband until she was silent, she walked to the seat next to her daughter and sat down. Zixi, I heard that you actors can watch the entire plot. Can you also reveal it to your mother? Zhang Lingzi put the unfinished melon seeds in Shen Yunqing's hand. If you can watch it, you can watch it, but I didn't ask for the source of the film, and I will follow you now. Only the night when I received the certificate, I was mistaken by a beauty and missed 2 episodes. Zhang Wenhui couldn't help but feel disappointed, but quickly cheered up. Can you give me some spoilers? Zhang Lingzi, okay. Upon seeing this, Zhang Runqinj also sat down silently. Asked what it was like for someone at home to become a fan of one's drama, Zhang Lingzi has experienced it now. Even Shen Yunqing couldn't escape. Who asked him to participate in this drama? He is the male protagonist whose role is second only to the female protagonist. Finally changed the topic. Where is Xiaoxu? Not at home. Well, don't worry about him, let's go there first. Zixi, just send him an address later and let him go by himself. But Zhang Lingzi is not easy to fool. The Chinese New Year is coming soon and he is not at home. What is he doing? Zhang Wenhui rubbed her hands and was about to confess honestly when there was a sudden knock on the door. Shen Yunqing stood up and was about to open the door, but as soon as he took a step, Zhang Wenhui stopped him with quick eyes and hands. Don't open it. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 717. Meeting the eyes of her daughter and son-in-law, Zhang Wenhui felt a touch of embarrassment on her face. Yes, it's from my natal family. Native family, do you still have a natal family? Zhang Wenhui's lips trembled. Zhang Runqinj patted the back of his wife's hand and couldn't help but snorted coldly when he heard the knocking on the door. The whole family is a group of snobs. Didn't they just see that you became popular in the entertainment industry, so they tried every means to find you here? Here we go. If I had known they would come here today, we would have left as soon as you two arrived. No, no need to open it, Zhang Wenhui waved her hand, just let them think there is no one in the house. As soon as he finished speaking, there was a voice outside the door. Sister, sister, are you at home? When I came up, I saw a red luxury car parked under the unit building. Is our Zixi here too? This is the car I drove in the car commercial I saw her filming before. Zhang Wenhui saw her daughter looking over with confusion and whispered, this is Zhang Wenjia. According to her seniority, you should call her aunt. I have never seen this so-called aunt since I was a child. To be precise, in the memory left by the original owner, there was no impression of anyone from Zhang Wenhui's natal family at all. She thought there was no one at all, but it turned out that they were all still alive. Yun Qing, go and open the door and let them in. If we knock like this, the neighbors will sue us for disturbing the residents. Oh, you kid, they are so shameless. Last time we met, they asked me for your contact information, and they almost took my phone away. Now that people are here, these people must not go crazy when they see it. I don't have the habit of being blocked by people outside my door when I'm sitting at home, Zhang Lingzi said and shook Zhang Wenhui's hand. Since they came here because of my reputation, shouldn't they please me when they see me? Zhang Wenhui couldn't help but be stunned. She just felt that this family was very difficult to deal with, and she wished she could stay away from them. Why didn't she think of this problem? Shen Yunqing had already walked to the entrance hall, reached out and grasped the door handle and turned it gently. The heavy security door immediately opened in response. Zhang Wenjie raised her hand impatiently and was about to knock again. When she noticed the door being opened, she quickly retracted her hand. She looked up and saw the person who opened the door for her. She almost thought she was seeing a who came to visit during the Chinese New Year. The mouth that had been so full of tongue when she called the door was now open and unable to make any sound. Zhang Wenjie's husband and Zhang Wenjie's daughter who followed behind were not much better. Shen Yunqing glanced at the family of three standing outside the door and said, "Come in." Since the visitor is not a friendly visitor, there is no need for him to say a word of invitation. Zhang Wenjie finally came back to his senses. Yes, okay. After Zhang Wenhui had prepared herself mentally, she stood up and looked at her uninvited half-sister. She saw this person walking obediently behind her son-in-law, like a quail. How can I still have the same energy as when I called the door outside? He simply asked in a cold voice, "Why are you and your family here?" The cold face clearly says, "Don't you know you are not welcome in our home?" Zhang Wenjie quickly put on a flattering smile, but when she saw the pair of beautiful women standing together across from each other, looking at them indifferently with two pairs of emotionless eyes, she thought they were standing in the execution hall. His voice stumbled unconsciously when he spoke again. "Lu, passing by, I happened to pass by. I accidentally bought too much during the recent New Year's sale, so I just happened to come over to give you some. No, I didn't expect that Zixi still is really here. I just said the same thing outside the door." At the side, Zhang Wenjie's husband hurriedly handed over the 2 boxes of wine and a box of tea he was carrying. But none of the 4 people on the other side reached out to pick it up. Had no choice but to put down the things with a smile. "My sister and brother-in-law have bought so many years' worth of goods." The atmosphere was so tense that Zhang Wenjie had no choice but to grab her daughter, who was still behind, and said, "You kid, you don't know how to call someone unless you respond. Call someone quickly. Aren't you still a fan of your cousin Zixi? It's hard to see a real person, but I don't dare to say anything." The little girl blushed at the words. She lowered her head and did not dare to look at the other side. She only shouted in a low voice, "Auntie, uncle, cousin Zixi, cousin-in-law, have a happy new year." The sound was not much louder than that of a mosquito. Fortunately, the room was quiet and the 4 people who were called could hear it clearly. Although Zhang Wenhui was very disgusted with all the family members who got together because they saw some benefit, she didn't have any ill feelings towards such a niece who was 1 year younger than her son whom she had only met once. She would see her being raped by Zhang Wenjie. Pulling him over, he looked like his head almost dropped to his chest after calling the person. After all, he couldn't bear it, so he responded lightly. Before Zhang Wenjie showed surprise and was ready to continue her efforts, she returned to her coldness and said, "As you can see, there is no shortage of the things you sent me at home. If you have nothing to do, just pick up your things and go back as soon as possible. We are going out soon. I don't have time to entertain you anymore." "Sister, what are you talking about?" Zhang Wenjie finished her words with a smile and looked at Zhang Lingzi cautiously. "I just happen to have Zixi here, let me add Zixi's contact information." "What on earth do you do?" Before seeing anyone, Zhang Lingzi thought that Zhang Wenhui's natal family and others were here to catch the autumn wind. But now that she saw the person, she knew that she had guessed wrong. The fur Zhang Wenjie was wearing looked real at first glance, and according to the current market price, it was worth 10,000 less. "The clothes of my husband and daughter are also branded products." Although the bag she was carrying was not particularly expensive, it was also a famous brand. She also saw that Tong Yu had also used a bag of this brand. There are also wine and tea brought, which are also high-end goods. Since he is not short of money, he still comes here to be so humble and flattering, so he may only want to get more benefits from her. Zhang Wenjie was about to speak, but was interrupted by Zhang Wenhui. "Don't think that I don't know what you want to do. I'm going back on Zixie's behalf. I won't do it. Let's go, let's go. I haven't been here for more than 20 years. From now on don't come either. This house is only for rent by us anyway. If you come here again, I will move. Speaking, he put the things back into Zhang Wenjia's hands and pushed him out. Zhang Wenjia almost sprained her foot after being pushed. She didn't dare to fight back in front of Zhang Lingzi. She could only step back and shout loudly, "Zixi, we are a family. Even if the bones are broken, the tendons are still connected. My aunt just wants to please do me a little favor. With your current reputation, you can do it with a wave of your hand. Your mother has my contact information. Oops, sister, you stepped on my toes. You deserve it." Zhang Wenhui pushed the person out of the door and closed the door hard. Zhang Lingzi saw her coming back angrily. "What help do they want from me? Besides you, Zhang Peng has a small cosmetics factory that has been running for most of his life. It was prosperous in the first few years, but his ideas are old and his products have not been innovative. Now there are so many different kinds of cosmetics. You're just like a cow, now you're just sitting on the bottom of the pile. I just saw you become famous on TV, and you also filmed commercials for cars, jewelry, etc. They want me to advertise their cosmetics. I think they want to eat shit." Zhang Wenhui looked angrily. "If they come to you again, you must not be soft-hearted and agree. When I wanted to marry your dad, Zhang Peng thought that your dad was just a poor man who had just started his own business. I don't want to, and Zhang Wenjia's mother is instigating me to marry me to an old man who is on his second marriage. If I don't want to, I will break off the relationship with me. From then on, I will just pretend that I don't have this natal family, and you will treat me as you. As long as this grandpa is dead." Zhang Lingzi nodded. "Then you can rest assured. There are not many people who can make her soften. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry." Author, Press 11. Chapter 718. Downstairs of the unit. Zhang Wenjia looked at the red luxury car with a market value of over 1 million in front of him. His unwilling face was reflected in the car window covered with reflective film. She felt so proud when she saw Zhang Wenhui being kicked out of the Zhang family, but now she feels so regretful. If only she had known that her cheap niece could be as good as she is today. "Okay, stop looking. This car won't be yours no matter how much you look at it. It's very cold. Go back quickly." Zhang Wenjia threw her husband away and came over to hold her hand. Lu Sui, you are still the sales director of our company. Aren't you usually very eloquent? How come you didn't even fart when you went in just now? I was just there. Get close." Then he stretched out his hand and nodded his daughter. "And you, although your aunt and I are not the same mother, Zhang Lingzi is also your cousin who is related by blood. It's not easy for you to come across such a good opportunity. You don't know how to take advantage of it. It's so tight that it's like a stupid donkey that doesn't know how to move without pulling it." Seeing that his daughter was about to cry after being scolded, Lu Sui finally couldn't help but get annoyed. "How could you have behaved so well just now? You were kicked out without even saying a few words. You were the one doing things with your parents in the first place. It's not honest. I've been ignoring you for so many years, and now it's too late for me to get involved. I shouldn't have brought my child here with you. It's not embarrassing enough. You think I'm willing to rush to please you with a shameful face, and it's not for our family. You, the sales director, don't know this, right? We only got so few orders this year, and maybe we will go bankrupt next year. You still want to drive a luxury car and live in a villa, but if Zhang Lingzi can help endorse our products, even if she just takes a photo of the product and puts it online, the backlog of cosmetics will be sold out. But this road obviously doesn't work. Let me think about it." Zhang Wenjia lowered her eyes and thought carefully. "By the way, brother-in-law, Zhang Wenhui had the best relationship with our brother-in-law before she severed ties with her family. Why is there another brother-in-law? Why haven't I heard your family mention it? Zhang Wenjia felt unnatural with the extra smear on her face, and quickly covered it up. He was transferred out of the imperial capital to settle in another city before we got married. After all, the two of them have been husband and wife for more than 10 years. This change in their expressions did not escape Lu Sui's eyes. Isn't it like the eldest sister who broke off the relationship with you? No, it's just that he had some misunderstandings with his family in the early years, and the main conflict was with my deceased grandfather. I didn't offend him back then. In this way, after the new year, we will find a way to find out the whereabouts of my uncle. It shouldn't be it's difficult to find out. I'll see if I can find someone to persuade him to come back. When my uncle comes back, Zhang Wenhui will have to come and see him and talk to him carefully. Since it is not difficult to check, why hasn't it been checked for so many years? Lu Sui forced himself not to continue thinking about the reason. He nodded and said in a dull tone, "Let's wait until this year passes." Having lived a good life relying on the Zhang family's small business for so many years, if he were to go back to before liberation, I know he would not be able to adapt. Besides, my daughter will have to pay a lot of money to study abroad next year. Thinking about it, he turned his head and looked to the side. Where is our girl? The couple hurriedly went to find their daughter who had sneaked away while they couldn't bear the quarrel. Asterisk. On the car back to Z1. Zhang Wenhui looked at her daughter who was driving in front of her, and took the initiative to speak. Originally, your father and I didn't plan to talk about what Zhang Peng and Zhang Wenjia were looking for. Anyway, as long as I am determined not to be soft-hearted and refuse to help, they will also know way. You two are so busy, there is no need to waste time on them, but I didn't expect that you would bump into them this time. And Xiaoxu, he is actually looking for your little grandpa. Xiao, grandpa. What is the relationship? Yeah, Zhang Wenhui's face looked a little nostalgic. At that time, I was bullied by Zhang Wenjia and her mother, and Zhang Peng turned a blind eye. Your little grandpa, who is only a few years older than me, has always taken good care of me. At that time, he was the only one in the family who wished me and your father well. But later on, Zhang Peng and I severed our father-daughter relationship. When I left, I was completely clothed. I didn't see my brother-in-law and I didn't have his contact information. Zhang Peng called me 2 days ago, and we started to quarrel within a few words on the phone. I told him directly at that time that I only recognized my uncle among the Zhang family, and the others didn't matter anymore. Zhang Peng said angrily on the other end, I just realized that my uncle has not been heard from for so many years. In fact, he took your little grandma away from the imperial capital to live in another place. I guess my uncle can't stand the chaos in the Zhang family just left. I was talking about your little grandpa when we were having dinner that night. I didn't know whether he was doing well after all these years, so your brother volunteered to look for him. Hearing this, Zhang Lingzi already understood why Zhang Wenhui was unwilling to explain clearly when she asked about Zhang Lingxiu's whereabouts. Because it will involve Zhang Wenjia and others who suddenly come together to ease the relationship. It doesn't matter if we don't mention these so-called maternal family members, it's really embarrassing if we mention them. It's the Chinese New Year, so it's even more embarrassing. Then has he found someone now? We have finally found your little grandpa's residence, but the neighbors in the family home said that your little grandpa took your little grandma to the south to celebrate the New Year, but unfortunately he couldn't see anyone. But it's okay to know that they are doing well. It's not necessary to meet. Neighbors in the family home. What family home? Xiao Su called and said that your grandpa is now a high school chemistry teacher and lives in a teacher's home. That little grandpa's neighbor should have his contact information. Yes, but I didn't give it to your brother. Thinking of the depression on her son's face during the video last night, Zhang Wenhui couldn't help but curling her lips. People say that teacher Jiang's family has not had any relatives come to visit and recognize them for more than 10 years. What if you suddenly come to the door? Who knows if you are a real relative? What if you are a bad person? After that, I will kick your brother out. Zhang Lingzi. With the scar on Zhang Lingxiu's face, coupled with the somewhat fierce temperament he developed in the juvenile detention center to avoid being bullied, it would indeed be a bit uneasy to suddenly run into a home for teachers' families who teach and educate people. I'm going to the south to celebrate the new year. I should be back before school starts. After that year I can go there again then. That's what I planned. It's inconvenient to meet each other now that we live far away, but at least we have to have one contact information. Xiaoxu is already on his way back by the high-speed rail. He will probably be able to reach the imperial capital in the evening. Then he can just take a taxi to you. That's it? Well, by the way, parents, my sister Anan and her grandmother will also come over to celebrate New Year's Eve with us tomorrow. Zhang Wenhui's eyes suddenly lit up. Is she the girl who played the little princess of Jinan? Zhang Lingzi couldn't help but doubt herself. Could it be that what she was following in this drama was not in sync with Ms. Zhang? If I remember correctly, Anan shouldn't have appeared yet, right? Only now is the childhood version of Jinan. Isn't there a trailer that was released before? I watched it several times when I was watching the video I called you sister in it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 719. This is the first time for Zhang Runqing and Zhang Wenhui to come to Z1. Although Zhang Wenhui's family was not wealthy when she was a child, she started her career fairly early. In addition to having real estate in the city, her family also had a small villa in the suburbs that was specially used for vacations. After getting married, although Zhang Runqing did have a hard time at the beginning, after Zhang Runqing started his career, he also had no shortage of luxury houses and fine clothes. The couple also consider themselves to have experienced ups and downs. When they were prosperous, they lived in a mansion with more than 1,000 square meters, and after bankruptcy, they lived in an old rental house with less than 100 square meters. Now, after all Qinfan's experience, she only thinks, why should we live in a house? We can live in whatever house we have, as long as we feel comfortable living there. But since my daughter drove them into the gate of Z1 in the car, looking out the window from the slowly driving car, I saw pavilions and pavilions everywhere, decorated with festive red lanterns to welcome the new year, and winter plum blossoms blooming randomly. There is actually a lake in the field of vision. The couple. Suddenly I feel there is a difference. It is no longer necessary to ask whether the people living there are comfortable, but whether the people living there are happy. That means you are happy. They couldn't imagine living in a place like this and not being happy. Zhang Runqing was involved in the construction industry when his career was at its best. When the car passed by a small stone forest made of large and small stones, he almost couldn't help but stand up in the car when he took a look at it. Zhang Wenhui was the one who caught the car with quick eyes and hands. The car is still running, what are you doing? Zhang Runqing took a deep breath and wanted to speak directly, but he was afraid of appearing ignorant in front of his son-in-law, but he couldn't hold it in anymore, so he simply took out his mobile phone and sent a message to his wife face to face. Did you see those rocks just now? $1 can be exchanged for an apartment in the imperial capital. Zhang Wenhui heard the message notification on her mobile phone and took it out to look at it. She was about to complain when she saw the content of the message and took a deep breath. She had just glanced at the stone and thought it looked pretty nice. She never thought it would be so expensive. She only knew that this place was called Z1, 11. Was it because her daughter also had the word 11 in her name? Zhang Lingzi parked the car at the door of the guest house, which had been tidied up. Looking back, I saw Zhang Wenhui and Zhang Runqing sitting in more upright postures than the other. When you come here, just feel at home. Why does it look like you're going to negotiate? Zhang Wenhui twitched her lips. I know, this isn't my first time here. Getting out of the car, she stepped onto the well-kept ground. After stepping on it again, she felt like she was on the ground instead of in the clouds. Xiaoji knew that His Majesty and his husband were back when the car drove directly into Z1, so he came to the guest house in advance to wait. When you meet the two people who got off the back seat, you will know that they are your Majesty's parents in this life. Uncle Zhang and Aunt Zhang, hello, I am Xiaoji, and I am also the housekeeper of Z1. Zhang Wenhui looked at the young man in front of him with a round and particularly pleasing face. The housekeepers in her impression were all those hired by the houses of some noble ladies she had met before. Either their hair had turned grey, they were mature and dignified, or they were middle-aged. Only when you are older can you be more stable and able to handle the nannies and others at home. This is the first time I have seen such a young butler. Think about it again, the other party still manages such a big garden, it would be impossible if he didn't have any skills. Moreover, the other party just called her Aunt Zhang instead of Mrs. Zhang or Mrs. Zhang, which sounded much more comfortable and approachable than the latter. Summer solstice, is it the summer solstice among the 24 solar terms? Exactly, because I was born on the day of Xiaoji, and my family's surname is Xia, so I got this name. Seeing Zhang Wenhui carrying several things in his hand when he got off the car, Xiaoji took some and said, "Guest house, I arranged it here. If you and Uncle Zhang feel uncomfortable somewhere, just tell me." Zhang Lingzi opened the trunk of the car, and while moving out a piece of New Year's goods brought with Shen Yunqing, she glanced in the direction of Xiaoji and Zhang Wenhui. I didn't expect that Xiaoji and Ms. Zhang would get along quite well. Shen Yunqing, he is very versatile. As for why he fell in love with Zhang Wenhui, the reason naturally lies in the person next to him. Zhang Runqing watched his wife chatting happily with the little housekeeper named Xiaoji. He walked over with the New Year's goods in his hand. Hey, what are we talking about? Zhang Wenhui glanced at him. Xiaoji said that he would take me to the garden after settling down. I'm taking a walk here, and my legs are a little weak from sitting in the car. Would you like to go? Then I'll go too. Those who just walked around in the car and watched the flowers were not as interesting as walking around in person. Of course, there is nothing dissatisfied with the layout of the guest house. Zhang Wenhui was afraid that she would not want to leave after staying here for 2 days. After settling in and putting away the New Year's goods, the couple went to the garden to enjoy the summer solstice. Zhang Lingzi and Shen Yunqing did not follow. Zhang Wenhui and Zhang Runqing might feel more comfortable without them. The two returned to the yard where they lived next door. Zhang Lingzi sent the address of Z1 to Zhang Lingxiu, and then received the high-speed train timetable sent to her by the other party. Xiaoxu got off the train at 6 o'clock in the evening and rushed here. It will be almost 7 o'clock. Otherwise, tonight's dinner will be postponed. Just an hour, wait for him to come and eat together, this kid has worked hard this time. Then let me tell the kitchen. Zhang Lingzi waited for him to put down his mobile phone, then picked up the blessing characters and spring festival couplets that the two of them had written in the morning and were now dry. Let's go and post them in our courtyard and the main courtyard. Xiaoji and his men had finished posting up the other doorways and courtyards, leaving these 2 courtyards for them to post up themselves. Speaking of which, this is the first time she has done this. In her last life, when she was a child, there were servants in her family. Later, when she was fighting in various places, she naturally couldn't stick to them. And after she ascended the throne, she no longer had to do such things personally. The two of them pasted it in a circle with great interest, and even argued for a while about whether to post the word upside down. As for the one who compromised in the end, there's no need to guess. At 6 o'clock in the evening, it was almost dark. Zhang Lingxiu came out of the station carrying a simple small backpack. Clicked on the address sent by my sister, checked again that there was no direct bus or subway, and then walked towards the taxi area on the other side. Although the Chinese New Year is coming soon, there are still many people out to make a living. He opened the door of the nearest empty taxi, got in, and handed the phone aside. "Master, go to this address. This place isn't close. I've been driving a taxi for so long and I haven't been there before," the taxi driver said, and glanced at the young man next to him. He looked a little tired from the dust and the clothes on his body were also wrinkled. "Doesn't seem like someone who can go to this address. If I come back here, I don't think anyone will take a taxi. I won't give you a meter and I'll give you a one-time price of 200 yuan. Do you want to go?" Zhang Lingxiu frowned. Seeing this, the master added, "It's probably not bad if you change to another car." Zhang Lingxiu, "Okay. Buckle your seat belt and let's go." After driving for nearly an hour, the taxi finally arrived at the address. Zhang Lingxiu and the taxi driver looked at the exquisite red lanterns embroidered with golden coiled dragons that lit up in front of them after nightfall. At the same time, they illuminated the majestic outline of the door in the middle, as well as the walls that extended out on both sides and were invisible in the night. "Are you sure you want to stay here?" Zhang Lingxiu. To be honest, he is a little unsure now. This is definitely a place where people live, isn't it a tourist attraction? "Master, please wait a moment, I'll call my sister to confirm." Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 720. Zhang Lingzi answered the video call from her little brother. The screen flashed, and no one's face was seen. The screen showed a familiar door, with the big red lanterns on both sides already lit up. "Sister, are you sure this is the place? I went to the right place. I spent 200 yuan to take a taxi. There is not even a bus or subway here." Zhang Lingzi, "Get off the car, someone has already gone to the gate to pick you up." "That's true, then I can rest assured that the money is not wasted. Then I can just wait at the gate after I get off the car." "Well, the person who picks you up will be here soon. Just follow him in. The whole family is waiting for you to have dinner now." Zhang Lingxiu originally thought that his parents, sister, and brother-in-law had all finished eating at this point. Hearing this, his heart warmed. "Yeah." The taxi driver collected the fare of 200 yuan and watched the young man get out of the car with his bag and walk toward the door. By some mistake, he did not start the car and leave immediately. Zhang Lingxiu walked to the gate and waited for less than 2 minutes. When he heard the sound, he quickly looked up. "Xiao Su. It's me. I am Xiaoji, the steward of Z1, come in quickly." The door opened, and the taxi driver quietly opened the window and looked over. At a glance, I only saw a huge carved screen wall. After people entered, the door quickly closed again. They are indeed a rich family, but the children in this family are quite low-key. When I took the bus before, I actually struggled with the fare of 200 yuan. General's curiosity was satisfied and he drove away contentedly. Inside the door, hurrying out to pick someone up, Xiaoji drove a small scooter over. After Zhang Lingxiu got on the seat, he drove the car back the same way. After dark, all the lanterns in Z1 are lit up. There are many large and small shapes and styles, and they are dazzling and colorful. It is a different kind of beauty that is different from the daytime. As the car passed through, Zhang Lingxiu almost thought for a moment that he was on a night tour of the Lantern Festival, rather than coming to eat with his sister and brother-in-law to celebrate the New Year. It wasn't until I got off the car and entered the courtyard where lanterns were hung and Spring Festival couplets were hung, and I saw my sister standing under the glass palace lantern on the veranda waving to him, that I felt like I had finally returned to reality after being in a trance. "Sister, go and wash your hands and serve the table. If you don't come, I will be full of snacks." Zhang Wenhui made many of the New Year's goods she prepared herself, including fried, steamed and baked. When she came here to celebrate the New Year, she brought them all and left nothing over there. Zhang Lingzi originally just wanted to have a simple taste, but ended up eating until she was half full. Zhang Lingzi quickly put down his bag and went to wash his hands. Zhang Wenhui looked at her son's busy appearance and said, "If you're not busy talking, sit down and have a few bites of food first." "Mom, Dad, brother-in-law." Zhang Lingzi called out one by one before he sat down under Zhang Lingzi. After devouring almost half a bowl of rice, without waiting for Zhang Wenhui to ask, he wiped his mouth and took a sip of water and took the initiative to talk about this trip to find his relatives. "Although I didn't get to see anyone this time, I asked around and found out that my grandpa and grandma's life has been quite comfortable these years, and this isn't the first time they go to the south to celebrate the new year. They go there every year. They say grandma likes it. It was an unlucky time for me to go. Your little grandpa has always been a good-natured person and capable. At that time, he was still the head of the R&D department of his family company, and he was more than enough to be a high school chemistry teacher." Speaking of this, an idea flashed in Zhang Wenhui's mind. She might have guessed why her uncle left. If it is true as she guessed, then Zhang Peng is now doing his own misfortune. How dare they want Zixi, who has never seen their grandpa since childhood, to turn the tide? Wait a minute, Zhang Wenhui looked at the pair of children sitting next to each other, and finally remembered what she had overlooked. "I just heard you talking about the little grandpa and the little grandma. Don't they have any children for so many years?" "Mom, I was about to say that they really don't have children. Although the neighbors in my grandpa's family home thought I was not a good person and kicked me out," Zhang Lingxiu pursed his lips in depression, "but before I came back, I went to the school where my grandpa taught and asked about the students he taught." "What did you find out?" "The family home is next to the school, but the students I asked said they had never seen my little grandma. Some people said that the reason why my little grandma never showed up was because she was sick, and there was a disease here." Zhang Lingxiu raised his finger and pointed at his head. "That's why I didn't want a child." Zhang Wenhui is a little hard to accept. Her brother-in-law, who has been smart since childhood, married a mentally ill wife? This is impossible no matter how you think about it. But it's spread even among students. Zhang Runchinj saw that his wife looked a little ugly and coughed lightly. "It's probably a rumor. They don't want children because they are both dinks. There are quite a lot of married couples who don't want children these days." These words made Zhang Lingzi and Shen Yunqing, who had been listening quietly, look at each other silently. Then they can be considered dinks. Zhang Wenhui's face softened. "Now that we know the address, let's go and see it after the new year. Your little grandpa should be back from the south by then. Let's eat. Let's eat. Xiaoxu, do you want to add another bowl? Rice or soup? Do you want more food for Zixi and Yunqing?" Asterisk. Just after filling his stomach and resting for a while, Zhang Lingxiu was driven to wash up again. When he washed away the fatigue and dust and returned to the living room, he saw brother-in-law is making tea at the tea table. Sister is putting sugar into the small clay pot that is boiling tea next to it. Mom and Dad were sitting on the sofa in front, bumping their heads and studying the TV remote control in their hands. The room is filled with the fragrance of tea and the sweet fragrance of milk tea, which mix together to create an extraordinarily warm smell. Seeing this made him feel hot. "But then I heard." Sister added milk and murmured to herself, "This is my first pot of milk tea and I don't know if it tastes good or not. Xiaoxu will come out later and let him taste it first." His mother couldn't tinker with the high-end remote control in her hand, so his father whispered to the side, "Let Xiaoxu come out and let him do it. This kid is not good at other things, so he is good at tinkering with this kind of thing." At first, seeing the family rarely getting together, Zhang Lingxiu felt both emotional and moved in his heart. Very good, he was moved for less than a minute. Before today's episode of Empress Yuan Zhao started to air, Shen Yunqing's tea was brewed, and Zhang Lingxi's milk tea was also brewed. After Zhang Lingxiu studied the remote control with a dull face, he successfully tuned to the national channel. Xiaosu, try the milk tea that my sister made for you. Zhang Lingxiu looked at the tea in the cup that hadn't even been filtered yet, and the color didn't look right compared to the milk tea sold in the milk tea shop. He took it with both hands and said, "Thank you, sister." "You're welcome, try it quickly." Facing the expectant gaze of his own sister, Zhang Lingxiu took a sip and his eyes widened immediately. "Your reaction, could it be because it tastes so good?" "No." Zhang Lingxiu swallowed the milk tea in his mouth with difficulty. "Sister, how much sugar did you put in this?" "I don't think it's much. Is it very sweet?" "It's so sweet that you can get diabetes if you drink it." Just this one sip immediately knocked him out. Zhang Wenhui saw that there was another glass on the table and was about to bring it over so that she could have a taste of her daughter's craftsmanship. When she heard this, she quietly pulled back her hand. She should drink her son-in-law's tea.